Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Live here, and I am not alone. I am joined by Jiminy Jim Jum John.
That's me. And Alex, I'm so excited about this. I know it's January, but this already looks like a contender for Game of the Year.
John, can I introduce what we're going to be talking about first? Because, people haven't seen the title. Yes, today we're talking about the new Pokémon Snap trailer that's just been dropped, and oh god, it looks really good, doesn't it? I mean,
It just looks jolly. Looking at this, the vibrance of the colors, the animation and the energy to everything just looks so delightful. I've wanted a sequel to this game for so long, and the first trailer was great, but this one just has this magical flair to it. I can't wait to try this.
It looks beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and I know this has been said before with the previous trailer where we saw considerably less, but it really does put the visuals of Sword and Shield to shame, doesn't it? And I mean, I know entirely different games, this is a very sort of specific closed environment type of thing, but you see these big sweeping shots and it's just stunning. Absolutely stunning.
We don't really see the Pokemon in their core environments very often in the games. Like in the core RPGs, you sometimes see them in towns, sometimes they're just sort of lounging around, but just seeing them being wild animals is quite rare in the games. And this is an opportunity to just see them in the wild, see them being themselves. And it's just a side of Pokemon that we haven't seen since the first game. And the first game, actually, my fiancée introduced it to me because that's her childhood game. And we've made a tradition for the last 10 years or so of just playing that game every single year. Because you can finish it in around 4 hours' time.
Is it really that short? I remember it being longer, but that was admittedly quite a long time ago, being a little biddly baby bodkin that I was at the time.
Yeah, there's lots of secrets in there, though. That's kind of the thing. It's very replayable. And once you know the secrets, you can just blast your way through. And that's kind of what makes it so cozy. It's just like you're in on all these secrets that are in there. And but this, though, that game had around 50 Pokemon. This looks like it's going much grander than that. I don't know exactly what figure they're going for, but there's so many different generations of Pokemon in here. And because there's never been a sequel before, all of a sudden there's 7 new generations they're including in this, in addition to the first one. So god, there's just so much they can do.
I'm really curious to see which Pokemon they choose to include, and, well, I suppose more specifically maybe which Pokemon they choose to omit, because they're not going to be able to have anywhere near a majority of them, surely. Because what are we on now? We're on like 800 and something Pokemon? I genuinely lose track.
Yeah, and it's not as simple as just taking the base models and importing them into this game, because of course they've got to animate them for these specific environments. They can't just use the game animations for most of this.
Yeah, I mean, the models do look genuinely different. The art style is different. It's a little bit more... there's a little bit more depth to it. Occasionally I find with the sort of the core art style that certainly fine details on things like faces and things like that can look quite flat. And I'm not getting any of that here. It genuinely looks like a real evolution, but of the same art style. And yeah, it's just pretty, isn't it?
Yeah, a big part of that too is the lighting. I mean, the models have been the same since the 3DS games. They've been carrying those models over to all the spin-offs, all the main games. But the way that every single stage is lit looks stunning. There's one that's set in a sort of a sunset time, and seeing that like little glow of the sun highlighting everything and making the Pokemon just not look realistic, but look like they're a believable part of the world is mesmerizing.
Yeah, they look like they're meant to be there. They don't look like they've just been slapped in. They look like, yeah, this is where they are. And I've just got to the bit. I'm watching the trailer back and forth, during this discussion, because that's always the best way to do it. And I've just seen the Heracross and the Pinsir fighting, and that's more interaction between two Pokemon than I think we've seen in a mainline game maybe ever. I mean, some of the cutscenes, I suppose, in certainly like the Crown Tundra DLC, but even then, just to see it just in the wild, it's I
cannot wait. And we had that kind of thing in the first game too, where we had like what was it that we had? I think it was a Mankey through a Squirtle at some point or something like that. We see these little interactions that are kind of like that. But that was quite basic. That was N64 hardware. We've come so far since then, and it's like we had this sequel that skipped over multiple console generations, and you're seeing that effect just pop into every entity of this game. Even the character models. I think, by the way, I think this is like my favorite interpretation of humans in Pokemon. They look really good.
Yeah, it reminds me in some ways of the character models in Let's Go, but again, more developed.
Yeah, for sure.
I think I am maybe slightly worried about the core gameplay and whether it's going to be maybe a little bit too close to the original and a little bit too simple. It's far too early to say one way or the other at the moment, but that is one reservation in the back of my head. You know, is it just going to be more of the same? Are they going to actually develop the gameplay? I mean, what are your thoughts regarding that?
Well, the base mechanics look the same. I mean, we still have limits on how many pictures we can take. In the first game, you had a camera roll, and I think it looks like we have a smartphone in this. So I guess maybe you're just managing your memory on your phone, how many pictures you can take.
It's it's a smartphone camera that I am mega jealous of because have you seen the size of that lens? No smartphone has a lens like that.
It's very impressive. It's
beautiful. I mean, it doesn't exist, but it's beautiful regardless. Something I do want to touch on, and this is by no means concrete, but it's performance. Mm-hmm. Most of the trailer is 60 frames a second. Which is obviously, that's a very good thing, but then there are clips that are at 30 frames a second. And I would be surprised if this game was running at a solid 60 frames a second.
I wouldn't expect it. It looks like this game is targeting visuals over performance. I think that's the right call for this kind of game.
Oh, absolutely.
It's non-rail shooter. Well, not non-rail shooter. It's non-rail shooter.
Jesus, John.
I don't think it needs to target 60. If it does target 60, that's very impressive. I'm not sure that needs to be their goal. I do wonder, though, if the cutscenes are maybe either lower frame rate or higher frame rate than the gameplay. Maybe that's the difference we're seeing here.
I mean, that is possible, but I think we've seen I think there are some what could be cutscenes running at a higher frame rate. But again, this could be a development build. You know, there could be any number of factors involved here. Maybe it's not even running on Switch hardware. Who knows? Because, you know, got to develop it somewhere. But, you know, given the pandemic and everything, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe this is just a slight oversight. But even so, even if it's just 30, to be honest, I love 60 frames a second, but I can't deny sometimes 30 does look just that edge more cinematic, which I know it's not nonsense per se, but it's definitely just an illusion thing. You know, we expect films to be lower frame rates. I've seen The Hobbit at a high frame rate. It was interesting. I'm going a bit off topic here, but the point is I don't mind 30 frames a second, and certainly for a game like this, I don't think 60 is a requirement. It would be nice, but I wouldn't miss it.
And not that I think it needs it, but it's coming out the 30th of April. There is time for optimization if it needs it. And we've seen in the past, like games like Mario Odyssey, a lot of their core visual refinements came in the final months of development. So there's definitely a chance for that.
Oh, absolutely. But, I mean, this trailer could be several builds old by now.
Yeah. And back onto the base game as well, just seeing the interactions of all these Pokemon. One thing I really love is one scene where you throw an apple to Torchic and it lights it on fire and then eats it.
Yeah.
It's just these tiny details of how every Pokemon interacts with different interactions from you. Like Pichu and Grookey both celebrate when you throw an apple.
Yeah.
This is going to be one of the most shareable games. Like this was made for the age of social media. The first game didn't really have that. Like you could print out pictures at Blockbuster, but you couldn't properly share them with your friends. Whereas now we can take a picture of our favorite Pokemon doing this delightful pose and just post it to Twitter.
That's gonna be something nice, isn't it? And there's got to be some sort of built-in functionality with that in mind, because you don't want the crosshair and everything in the way. And if you take a good picture, you want to be able to just go into your album and just share that mother on the internet. And there's going to be something about that. There has to be, because that would be mental if they missed out on that.
It'll be bonkers. It'll be flat out bonkers. My Twitter feed's just going to be full of Pokemon Snap for the rest of the year.
One thing that did pique my interest, and it just brought a big smile to my face, was when you see the desert area and you see this Hippowdon. Oh, yes. I've never actually said that name out loud, so I don't know if that's accurate. Just pouring sand out of the vents in its body. I don't quite know how else to describe it. And it's just, again, it's that level of interaction with the environment that we just don't see in the other games, certainly not the core games, where it is pretty much, here's a Pokemon on a flat plane walking around, which I understand the limitations, of having to work with so many Pokemon, but doesn't stop it being wonderful when you do see it.
Yeah, this is something I've just missed. For the longest time, Pokemon spin-offs have been on mobile. We've had a couple of 3DS games, not many. Lately, we've seen a few more Switch ones. But it's just that extended universe that we haven't really had a good taste of. I'd say not really since the GameCube. The Wii had Pokemon Battle Revolution and Pokepark, but this expansion of the world and diving into what Pokemon can be outside of just battles is something I've really missed.
Me too. As you said, when you said that, I didn't actually realize that it has realistically been that long. I mean, there have been God knows how many Pokemon games since then, but they've all been different. They've not been like this. They've not looked at Pokemon as the Pokemon in theory actually are, for lack of a better term, canonically. It's often things like the Pokemon Cafe game and things like that, and just the mainline games, which but this is the anime brought to life, isn't it?
It absolutely is. It's just so cute. There's one scene where Bidoof just shows its head out of a tunnel. I've missed this so much. One thing I really do want, though, is gyro. I'm looking at this footage, and the camera is very static. It would be a big waste not to have gyro. It's perfect for this game.
I imagine that I don't know whether I'm just, sort of hoping beyond hope, but my immediate reaction is that is potentially just due to the fact that it's a trailer, and you want nice, smooth movements in order to be able to show off details, which you can't do with motion controls. It's a little bit too shaky. Again, could just be hoping against hope, but you never know. And I'm just on this, just got to the bit again where you see Lipard just laying down on a rock, and it just so happens that one of my cats is doing exactly the same thing on the sofa as we speak, and it just makes me happy to see.
It's cool too that we see both a female photographer and a male one. The original game was literally just one male character.
Todd,
that's the one. Yeah.
How did you not remember that? You play the game every year.
I cosplay as Todd every year for Halloween too. I don't do that. I should though.
It's not an extensive trailer, but
yeah, I mean, it doesn't really show too much that's new, but it just reminds me how stunning this game looks. It's everything I wanted from a sequel. I've been predicting a new Pokemon Snap for so many years now. When the 3DS came out and they gave us that Face Raiders game, I was like, yeah, this is what I want from Pokemon Snap. Then they gave us the Wii U, and I was like, yeah, this would be good for Pokemon Snap too. And it never happened. But now it's finally time. I'm just so pumped.
The only thing I don't like is the name.
It's very New Super Mario Brothers-y, isn't it?
Yeah, it just makes me not uncomfortable, but annoyed.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, it's new Pokemon Snap, and eventually this game is going to be old new Pokemon Snap.
And also, if a Switch Pro is real, if it comes out this year, this game is gonna pop on it.
Oh, let's not get down that rabbit hole, because we'll be here forever. I've just seen the Pinsir and the Heracross fighting again, and I love it. Well, that's all we have to say, but let us know what you think down there in the comments. I've just seen Onyx is in it as well. 2 sleeping Onyx.
2 sleeping Onyx?
2 sleeping Onyx. Regardless, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you snap a photo of that subscribe button, and be sure to check out nintendolife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo-related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.